Good morning. Though the claims to premium ratio seems to have fallen quite dramatically over the last few years, more and more state governments seem to be walking out of the Prime Minister's Fasal Bima Yojana scheme. Why the scheme has failed is not quite clear, but when farmers are paying just about 2% of the total value of the premium and the rest is being paid by the state and the central government, it's not clear why the farmers don't like this scheme either. But in any case, whatever the problem is, it could be the delays in settlement of dues. Whatever the problem is, it needs to be settled very quickly because a scheme like this can only be good for the country's farmers. So the sooner it's back on track, the better. Tata Group Chairman N. Chandrasekaran used the occasion of the Lalit Doshi Memorial Lecture yesterday to exhort Indian industry and government in fact as well to make the most of the opportunity that COVID-19 has provided and to use this opportunity to really reimagine India. Now, one way to do that is, in fact, what he talks about is to use COVID-19 to leapfrog India with technology. Education and health are two very good examples of this, where this has been done, where it can be done. And in fact, during the pandemic, the government has even made a start as far as this is concerned, by using telemedicine and online classes. In fact, Mr. Chandrasekaran even has a book on this, which is called Digital Nation, where he explores how a lot of the problems that India has in terms of shortages of doctors or shortages of teachers and classroom, a lot of these problems can really be fixed with technology, and that can then take India to the next level of development. Mr. Chandrasekaran makes two or three other points which are very important in the current context. One, he says that as a country, whether it's the government or whether it's big industrialists or whether it's normal people, as a country we have to do our best to help the MSMEs, because this is really where the bulk of people are employed and this is where a lot of innovation can come from. So he implores all of us to help develop the MSME sector, and he says that you have to get a lot more women into the workforce. I think he mentions the number of about 25 or 26% of the eligible women are working right now in India. So if you get them back into the workforce, just imagine the GDP bump that you can get, and apart from the social change that will come when women start earning a lot more. Now this is important from the point of view of the government, because if you look at a typical MSME, most of the CEO's time is spent dealing with red tape and issues like that. So if the government was to have a genuinely business friendly environment where MSME bosses never wasted their time in just dealing with red tape, just think of the innovation and the good work that they can do. In fact, if you recall, this year's economic survey points out that one of the biggest problems that India faces is the fact that its small firms continue to remain small and they don't grow at all. So this is really one of the issues that the Tata Group chairman is talking about. In fact, it is in keeping with what the Tata Group chairman has said that our second editorial today talks about how the government of India needs to be dealing with unorganized sector workers in a very different manner than it does today. The takeoff point for the editorial is really the Parliamentary Standing Committee, which talks about how the government needs to create a welfare fund for migrant labor. What we talk about is that, forget about migrant labor, that's one part of the problem. But if you look at the total unorganized sector, the unorganized sector workers, which are about 85 to 90% of India's workforce, if you look at them, these people have no social security shield. When they retire, they have no savings. So we've talked about how you can actually create an NPS type saving instrument for them, with them starting to contribute very small amounts in the beginning of their life, maybe 20, 30 rupees a day. And perhaps the government for the first 5 or 10 years can also co-contribute to the scheme. Once you do this, you can actually have a fairly healthy balance at the time of retirement. In fact, one of the points that we make is that the Government of India owned scheme, the ESIC, which is an insurance scheme, health insurance scheme of sorts, this is a vastly overpriced scheme. In fact, several years ago, the finance minister, then Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, had said that he would, bring in the private sector, bring in more competition in the ESIC. Of course, he has not been, neither he nor his successor have been able to do anything about it. So what we say is that the ESIC is actually sitting on surpluses of, hold your breath, 90,000 crore rupees. So the ESIC has surpluses of 90,000 crore rupees. So what we are suggesting is take this money away, use this for building up corpuses for the unorganized sector, for their retirement benefits, start unemployment benefit scheme, and essentially rejig the way that the government spends money every year to make sure that there is a certain contribution that the government makes towards the welfare benefits of the unorganized sector. Former RBI Deputy Governor Viral Acharya was there in the Indian Express Group's Idea Exchange yesterday, and he essentially elaborated on the point that he's been making for a long time about fiscal dominance. That essentially the government of India is spending too much money, as a result of which it has very little to really stimulate the economy, and with the lack of reforms, then the burden of trying to stimulate the economy really falls on the RBI. So people want, lower interest rates. They want not only the lower repo rates, but they want full transmission to happen. They want the RBI to do forbearance. They want the RBI to make it easier for banks to do one-time restructuring. Essentially, they think that the entire burden of stimulating the economy is on the RBI. That is completely unfair, because as the former Deputy Governor points out, the RBI has other concerns too, whether it's inflation or whether it's something else. So frankly, if the entire burden is going to be on the RBI's shoulders, it's just not going to work. India has an impressive list of 31 unicorns. So whether it's Oyo or Byju's or Paytm, this is a big list and it's a growing list. But as the Harun Index points out, when you look at this number of 30, it is still about a 7th or 8th of the number of unicorns in China. So India has made a great start, but it has a long way to go. And HDFC Bank finally gets a successor to Aditya Puri. Shashidhar Jagadishan is the person who has been chosen to replace Mr. Puri. And not only has he served as the CFO of the bank, we should have guessed a long time ago or some time ago that he was going to be the successor, because his designation is Group Head and Change Agent. Thank you. Have a great day.